The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Justice.
And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions.
That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support.
Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
Welcome to another episode of In Conversation with Alethea. I'm your host, Alethea O'Hara Stevenson. In this show, I sit down with amazing guests from the community who are doing incredible and inspiring things. The show will educate, it will empower, and it will inspire you. So be sure to tune in every single week. This show is extra special. This episode is titled Family, Faith, and Community. And my next guest is a very definition of that. First of all, she's an author, she's a wife, she's a mom, she's a community champion and a sister to so many in our community. Bella Carter is my next guest, and she's absolutely amazing. Welcome to In Conversation with Alethea, Bella.
Oh, thank you for having me, Alethea. This is quite exciting.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you. And, you know, we've had a chance to connect previously and talk about so many amazing things. And I want to jump right into our conversation. It is, after all, Ramadan. So Ramadan Kareem to you and to all who are celebrating.
Thank you so much. Ramadan Mubarak also means like blessings, blessed Ramadan.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Since we're talking about, you know, right now, the month of Ramadan, I want to open it up with, you know, talking about your book. You wrote a children's book many years ago called Mariah's Day. And I think it's very fitting because it talks about, you know, Mariah, a beautiful young lady, having to embrace her culture and her hijab. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, well, when I was growing up, there were no books representing myself. And then when I had my daughter, I went to the library thinking that maybe I'll find something by then. Mm-hmm. And once again, I didn't find a book where a little girl can find herself in the pages and feel empowered. And so I went home and I drew them. And I just read that to her. I made up words. And eventually I received so much feedback from friends and neighbors just around me that I sent it into a publisher, but it was rejected. And about another month later, I would send it in again, it rejected. And it wasn't until the 16th time.
Wow. 16
tries. It wasn't like now where you can, you know, print it. You needed to actually send it to a publisher.
Right.
And so when that was printed back then, it was a big celebration for our whole community.
Absolutely.
Bookstores, not only Islamic bookstores, and I want to give a big shout out to Taha at Sound Vision at the time. He, you know, gave it with every hijab wearing doll. You know,
wow.
Yeah, so it was like a little Barbie, but it was a hijab doll. It was called Razan. So he would pair the book with a doll and give it, you know, sell it like that. And then I want to say thank you to Chapters Indigo because they took it on right away.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so it was great.
That's a great message in, you know, being, you know, resilient and perseverance, right? Because 16 tries before it was actually published. That's incredible. And what a legacy, you know, you're able to leave for young Islamic girls to be able to see themselves represented, right? And that leads me into the very next topic of conversation, right? You know, you're wearing your hijab, and I know this is something that is very personal for you. Do you want to touch on that experience a little bit?
For sure. I really feel a woman shouldn't be identified like by her looks. Mm-hmm. And at times, you know, I only wear it to the mosque. I may not wear it to go out all the time, but sometimes I feel that calling, like, you know, why am I hiding it? Why am I not showing it off? And at other times, I don't feel like being on show. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like wearing it. And it's a big back and forth thing for me. Like, as a woman, as a Muslim woman, I don't want this to identify me, or I don't want this to be the only thing about me. But at the same time, it pulls me in.
Right. I think that's absolutely powerful because, you know, this transcends, you know, being just a Muslim woman. It transcends for all women who are trying to be their authentic selves and having the courage to step out as, you know, who they truly want to be. And so I think it's absolutely powerful, and for, you know, women to be able to see themselves represented right here, right now, in this moment, in the month of Ramadan, I think is absolutely powerful. So I am honored that you had the courage to be your authentic self with me right here today on In Conversation with Alethea. So truly honored, Bella.
Thank you so much. I was nervous about being on air, you know, to be honest, with myself in hijab, because I don't wear it all the time, right? And it's because there are times when I have to be, you know, there are women out there that are strong and they wear it all the time, and they don't worry about what people say. I just don't want that stare. I don't, like you said, I don't want to be on show all the time. As much as I speak and laugh and talk, there are times when I just want quiet, and I just want to go shopping without anyone looking, you know, like, you know. But I feel safe here. I feel that this is a safe space, the studio. Awesome. I feel like you said, my authentic self. There's a calling. I don't believe we have to wear it to be a good Muslim or a good Canadian or a good Canadian Muslim, but I do feel that it does represent some aspects of my life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful, and I am truly honored again for the fact that you're here with me today to share. I want to touch on, you know, some of the amazing things that you're doing in our community, in particular the interfaith, the different interfaith forum that you established. Can you share a little bit about that and why it was important for you to start that or community group, I should say?
It was very important for me to start it just because at that time in Shelburne, we didn't have a mosque or a masajid. We only would pray in our house, or we would just invite people over to each other's houses, or the church, the United Church, actually invited us to pray there if we needed space together. So we would pray in the basement. So that was quite nice. And then I thought, if the United Church is allowing us to pray in their basement, we can do things together. And the Reverend at that time said, why don't we have a dinner? So that's how it started. That's how you started getting the invites. And we started inviting not only Christians and Muslims because of the church and the Muslims praying there, but we started inviting Sikhs and Hindus, and if there was someone Jewish, any faith to come, and everyone would bring a dish of food. And I found food really brought us together.
Yes.
Right?
Wow, that's the very definition of breaking bread together, right?
Breaking bread together. And it wasn't a lecture. It was just sitting there, and everybody would go around and share something. And people who also said they were atheists came. People who said they're agnostic came. So it was just really nice to get to know each other and to see that actually we have more in common than we know.
Wow.
Right.
And that is so true, right? You know, here you are, you know, coming together as a community with different cultures, different religions, different individuals just coming together around the table, having conversation and having a meal together, sharing that shared humanity. I think that's absolutely brilliant and powerful.
It's very nice. It's very nice, especially when there is a time when we were facing oppression within the community, and people were supporting us, or someone else was going through oppression, and we stood up and we spoke in solidarity with them, and so they know that we're there for them. So
that's great. And I want to touch on, you know, the month of Ramadan. Specifically, I believe it's 30 days, and it's representing 30 days of fasting and prayers for the community. Can you elaborate on why that is important? You know, why is it 30 days of prayers and fasting?
Well, they say you need 30 days to break a habit or start a habit. So what happens for this month, and it's Ramadan is a month of the Islamic calendar. So we also have different months. Ramadan happens to be one of them. And in that month, we spend our time controlling or having more control over our desires. So it's not just food that we can't eat, we can't drink water, and we can't have sexual relations, we can't, you know, indulge ourselves in like habits that, you know, may cause us to gain weight, or you know, stay up late and not do work, you know, things like that. So it's really a month of contemplation and reflection. It's also a month where we think about the poor. You know, so all day we don't eat, but we know there's a meal at home, or we know we can pick up something and eat that, right? Whereas in other faiths, I mean, other countries, or even in our own communities, there are people who are afflicted by poverty,
right,
and they don't have a dinner at home, and they don't have a meal to look forward to, and basically you get so weak during the day wanting food, but then you think, wait, this is just 30 days for us. We have food every night. We have water all night if we want. Some people, like, you know, can drink and eat all night, and whereas these other folks could be our neighbors.
Right.
It could be across the ocean in another country, but they don't have that food, and it really forces you to donate.
Okay.
Right? It really makes you think, oh, I don't ever want to be in that position where I don't have food.
Right.
I'm going to give a little bit of my food to them, which is like monetary, obviously.
Right, right.
It really starts food drives for the food banks.
Okay.
The food banks see an increase during this time, and it really makes you conscious of what you're not allowed to do.
Right.
Right?
And so what I'm hearing too is that there's also that bigger calling as well of, again, looking out for your neighbors, looking out for your brothers and sisters. It may not necessarily be blood related, but those who are in your community who may not necessarily have those, you know, opportunities for food and water and so forth at you know, on demand. So I think it's absolutely powerful. One of the things that I love about that you touched on is the fact that, you know, as a result, or coming out of Ramadan, there's often, you know, food drives and collection. And one of the things that I noticed, especially with you on your social media platform, there is a big push around your family coming together, whether that be your immediate family or your extended, you know, Islamic community coming together to break bread. Can you share some of those traditions with us?
It's quite wonderful. So now we have a mosque, so we don't have to go to the church and pray, although I know it's still open for us to pray there, but we now have a mosque, and it's a place where people can come and bring food and, you know, share. So they have potlucks to break fast together, and you really feel a sense of community. We didn't know each other before, but the fact that we're all fasting together and going through the struggle of controlling our desires and reflecting brings us close together.
Brilliant. Right?
And then we have dinners where a family can sponsor it. So it's not potluck, they sponsor it, they pay and order the food, and people go, and we all sit down and eat, and we invite outside community members. So if you wanted to come, for example, you can come on a Saturday where it's sponsored, and then you get to meet the leaders there. And it's just, like you said, communal. It really is about breaking bread and getting to know each other.
I love that. That's incredible. And, you know, when we talk about community, we're going to go into the next segment shortly, but talking about community, it's that aspect of coming together, sharing and supporting each other, being there for each other. And so when you think of the month of Ramadan, it's more than just, you know, prayers and fasting. It is so much more. It's about community and being there for everyone else.
Yeah, it's really special this year. I'm not sure if it's because we have our mosque and we're meeting new people. Like, I'm not sure if that's what it is.
Perfect.
Or if it's just the hope. There's some kind of hope I'm feeling.
We're gonna pick up on this conversation when we return from our next break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of In Conversation with Alethea with Bella Carter.
This week on Dufferin Life, what do you get when we put together canapes, cocktails, a delicious dinner, some silent auction items, and a lot of mystery and intrigue? We get the Hearts Wide Open for Autism fundraising event. Also, some amazing segments on this week's show from the Shelburne Curling Club and Maple Syrup in the Park at Credit Valley Conservation, right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to In Conversation with Alethea. I'm in the studio with Bella Carter, and we're talking about all things family, faith, and community. And we're going to pick up the conversation and talk about faith and community before we go back into the family aspect of things. So, as a Muslim woman, oftentimes, there are certain stigmas associated with, your womanness and wearing the hijab. How have you been able to navigate, your day-to-day life, in the community, at work, and even at home, being who you are as a woman?
Well, I really believe the hijab shouldn't identify me. I believe that a woman shouldn't be judged, for example, on her hair or how much makeup she wears or how she dresses. She should be judged by who she is. Mm-hmm. So there are times, like, just say I'm going out and I'm not wearing it, or at times that I am wearing it, I just go with what my heart tells me to at that time. I don't think about it. Most recently, I have been wanting to wear it more regularly.
Right.
And, there was a time when I wore it like every single day. Mm-hmm. Every single day. And people would ask, why are you wearing it? Why are you not wearing it? And I didn't have an answer, mm-hmm. to be honest. It's just I felt like it shouldn't be my whole identity. It should just
just allowed to be
the way I am. And like I mentioned, I don't believe a woman has to wear it to be a good person, mm-hmm. But I do believe that she should display modesty, whether it be with a piece of cloth, mm-hmm. or whether it be her demeanor, or whether it be in the way she acts.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that lends us, well to the topic of just a sisterhood, because, when I introduced you at the beginning of the show, I described you as a sister to so many in the community. And I know you've done amazing things of bringing together, a collective of amazing women just to have conversation. Again, why was that aspect of bringing incredible women from our different community important?
I just naturally, like, without any mission or without any thought, gravitated towards the community women. Mm-hmm. If someone's doing something, I would just ask them what they're doing, or they would just come to me and ask me what I was doing. And it just happened to be that my first friends were women. You move into
Beautiful.
This town and it's country,
yeah.
And then there's this little town of just a handful of houses in the middle, and it's quite lonely unless you do start talking to somebody. And it was just nice. I saw on the wall, I had to get my address changed, everything, when I moved in, mm-hmm. and I saw on the wall that they were looking for donations for a Christmas drive. Ah. So I'm not Christian, I'm a Muslim, but I'm like, this is a nice thing, right? So I called the number and she came over right away, Bobby from the Rotary Club, and she became my first friend.
Amazing.
We sat there, we talked, and it just happened one thing after another where women came together.
I love that. And, from that coming together, you were also able to be part of I think it was called the Shelburne Welcome Wagon. I believe the name has changed now.
It's Shelburne Community Welcome.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Which is a welcoming gesture to people who move to Shelburne.
Nice.
And what we do is we fill the basket full of information, gifts, food, and we take it to the new neighbor.
That's incredible. And what has the reception been like? I imagine it's absolutely mind-blowing to see the warm smiles on people's faces as they're being greeted with this basket, right?
Yes, it's actually really nice because we received a donation of baskets at first, and then we had to purchase some baskets after. But, I think every year we've met about 75 new people, mm-hmm. and out of that 75 people, they actually remain your friends. Because all of a sudden you kind of become the ambassador for the town.
Oh,
and
wow.
so whenever they have a question, they'll call you or they'll email you, oh, do you know when soccer starts? Or, mm-hmm. Do you know what that new restaurant is called? And I wouldn't, because I'm, not there for 20 years, right? So I would go and look at the restaurant myself and then ask them, hey, do you want to provide a coupon for the basket? And it just became this network. Oh, there's a Zumba class happening, or there's, this car sale or, show happening. and we just all started talking, which is better than Facebook to me, but don't tell anyone I said that.
In-person conversations are always amazing,
Yes.
so I do support that. So why did you get started with the Welcome Wagon? Like, you could have just moved here and decided to just, you know, have your core network of friends and that's it.
Well, the Welcome Wagon was in business back then. They had an ad in the paper, and I was so lonely. Right? We moved into this town, and I was so lonely. I actually read the newspaper back to back, cover to cover, because I just wanted to know what was going on. And we're there, and I see the ad for Welcome Wagon. And when I see the ad, I call them, and when I received the basket of, you know, the coupons and information, I felt so good. The pandemic happened, and all of a sudden they went out of business.
Oh no.
Because the way Welcome Wagon worked is that you go into the house, you explain everything in the basket, you become friends, you know, so that you navigate throughout the community together for the rest of your lives, kind of,
Right,
you know,
okay.
you know, live happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
And then they shut down.
Wow.
And I thought, oh no, I received such a nice welcome with the welcome basket. We need to have something, even if it's just Shelburne. So I talked to a few businesses, I talked to different organizations, and everyone agreed to put a gift into it.
Wow, that's incredibly
It
inspiring.
was really, really fun. I asked Sandra to help me, and I asked a few other, you know, ladies in the community to come help me, and we would actually go drop off the basket to somebody. As soon as we found out there's a new person, we would go visit and drop off the basket. And it does take about 20 minutes to half an hour on their porch,
Right.
because it was the pandemic, right? We can't go in the house. So we'd be out on the porch. So admittedly, this program has become more of a spring-summer program as opposed to cold winter program. So we do hibernate during the winter. We don't do the baskets during the winter. But in the summer, it's really nice to stand on the porch. Sometimes they offer you a cold drink.
Oh, that's nice.
It's very nice. We bump into each other. I tell them about all the festivals happening in Shelburne. And they really like it. I've only heard one bad review. But out of the 3 years, that was it.
Wow.
Everyone else was like, thank you so much. We get to keep the basket? Oh, you don't want us to take everything else and give the basket back? No, you keep the basket. And
that's incredibly inspiring for you to, you know, have the vision to carry on, you know, something that was disbanded. But not only that, you know, having other like-minded individuals to come on board and to support you on this journey. I think it's absolutely quite powerful. And this is what, again, when we talk about faith, family, and community, why you are the very definition of this title, right? Because here you are able to take something off the ground and share that love and, you know, the passion with the broader community and welcome so many other individuals to the Shelburne community. It's absolutely beautiful.
well, I have to admit, though, in the winter, we're pretty quiet.
Yeah.
It's mostly in the summer.
That's okay. That's okay. So where do you hope to go from here? So we talked about, you know, the interfaith community. We talk about the community welcome basket. Where do you hope to go from here with all of your community activities and, of course, being a mom and so many other hats that you wear?
I know this is going to sound absolutely strange, like, you know, doing the Interfaith Forum and doing, you know, meeting new people with the baskets, but where do I want to go from here? I just want to have a good family. I know that sounds not ambitious, but that's really, in the end of the day, why I'm doing this in the community. I want the community to be there for my children.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I want it to be there for me. I want to walk down the street and wave and know everybody.
That's beautiful.
I feel so sad when I walk by and I smile to somebody and they look down. And luckily in Shelburne, everyone smiles and everyone waves, right? And it's hard for me to go into a big city and, you know, everyone's not looking at me and smiling. That being said, I don't want everyone to look at me for my hijab. I'm not saying that. I mean, just like, you know, when you pass by them on the sidewalk, you want to wave and smile, right?
Yeah.
At least that's all I want. And so I think, I don't know why I do it. I just know that I have to do it. Yes. I have to do it, and I want to make sure our community is safe. And I truly believe our community is safe when we know who is suffering, when we know who needs food, there was one house visit I made, and she was trying to get a job. And I told her, oh, this business in the basket is looking for workers.
Amazing.
And I go, oh, and this one is looking for forklift drivers. Oh, and this one is looking for, and then she took the flyers out, and they actually, and then I said, what else do you need? She goes, well, we have no money to even have car insurance. We have no money for gas, so we can't even get to this job if we were to get it. So it allowed me to get information from that family and take it back to the community.
Absolutely amazing.
Right?
Wow.
And then connect them. So it's a selfish fulfillment, maybe.
Right.
To know that, okay, it's going to be a safer community, knowing that people are getting food. I really believe in karma and the universe. I really believe we're not on this earth just to educate, get a job, go home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go home, go to sleep. You know, this whole vicious cycle. I really believe we're here for a reason, and that's humanity. Like, we just have to wake up and get up and just do.
Perfect.
Right?
I love that. And, you know, I think it's, again, talking about inspiring, and, you know, anyone can get up and do something like this. So you don't have to wait for somebody else to start. If you have an idea, you can simply execute it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I love that.
Or come help me.
Yeah, that too. So I know we touched on the Interfaith Forum. Is that a virtual event, or is it in person now? You mentioned the Trinity Church.
It was always in person. When the pandemic happened, the only way we stayed in touch is, as you mentioned, unfortunately we had to do the online virtual meetings, but at least we saw each other, and it became in person again on February 4th this year. And
awesome.
We had 300 people.
Amazing.
I am not even joking. And it was a packed hall. Munaza from Mono, she cooked. Another young girl, she's not even 22, Nora, she made all the dessert. Islamic Relief,
yes,
they came and provided pop and juice and water. It was just really nice to have different leaders come together, and so it's in person again.
Okay, amazing.
I have to admit, I don't know when the next one will be.
That's okay.
But it'll be soon.
Perfect. So yeah, I think that's absolutely incredible, and I think if anyone is interested, they can find you on social media and the Dufferin County Interfaith Forum, and stay tuned for more information. So thank you so much, Bella, for joining us on In Conversation with Alethea. It was absolutely inspiring to hear your experience and your journey, especially, you know, thank you for being brave and courageous for wearing your hijab on the show, and I truly appreciate you. Until next time, tune in for In Conversation with Alethea. Talk to you soon.
The Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.